Ladies and gentlemen, it is fantastic to have you here today. Nix that, it is lovely and super swell to have you here today. My name is Scroat, and we are taking a look at From the Depths with a new type of series I'm trying out called a Let's Build. This is more like, let's see, maybe a time-lapse type deal where I'm going to build a ship from scratch, and we're going to be watching the time-lapse view, and I'll be adding commentary over the top of it and talking about it. This way, we'll be able to watch, let's say, something that takes 3 or 4 hours to build. We'll be able to watch it all in one singular episode. It may be a little bit of a longer episode, like 30 or 40 minutes, but that's the goal anyways. You know, I don't know if people will enjoy seeing this, but I thought this could be kind of fun. A fun way to see a ship get built all in one episode, a larger ship, without having to sit there and sludge through all of the, you know, 5 or 6 episodes it would have spanned out to be or whatnot. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm going to be throwing up a few shots of the final ship here, as you can see right now. Here are a few shots, just sort of, I wanted to show you the final outcome of the ship. I guess what you can expect by the end of this episode, what we will have built. And we do build something pretty effective and pretty awesome, I think. It's pretty cool. It's got a little bit of an Onyx watch look to it, just a little bit, not much. Maybe it does, just in the fact that I use so much metal. But, yeah, hey, without further ado, I say we jump in. I'm going to get some nice tunes playing here for us. Probably something classical that we can just listen to, you know, in the background with some commentary. And let's just hit the ground running. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. Let's get rocking. Alright, so let's get this build process underway here. So first and foremost, you should know, this is sort of like I'm doing a time-lapse here. So I actually have built everything. What I'm doing is I'm going back over and popping some commentary on top of the build while we watch. I thought this could maybe be a cool way to see a build come to fruition. So yeah, there may be pauses in the commentary where we'll just sort of watch things unfold with the builder here. And other times I may be talking about what I'm building. And other times I may just be rambling. So, you know, we'll kind of see how it pans out. So yeah, right off the bat you can see I'm laying down a foundation with all metal. I thought metal is the way I want to go. Everyone's been asking me to build stuff with metal, and I haven't quite built anything with just like full-on metal blocks. Now, the big downside to this, which you'll see a little bit later in this video, is the metal's it's really heavy, and I did not think about this at the start of my build. In fact, you know, when I first started building this, I didn't have anything in mind, really. I didn't have a design in mind. I didn't have functionality in mind. This is kind of how I generally will, start my building processes, just at random. You know, you just gotta start building, start slapping stuff down and see how it ends up. So in this case, I made a base layer, so to speak, which is that full metal base layer. And now I'm kind of building up and down, just a little bit, not too much. So just to kind of make a frame, and I'm just kind of eyeballing how the frame is coming out here. I like using the beams, especially the metal beams, just like the wood beams. They make a great base design, and they're great for defensive protection as well. The metal is one of the strongest blocks you can put down, for sure. And the biggest downside, of course, is that it's metal. It's super heavy. So right here, I'm trying to make a decent-sized hold. I think I wanted it like 4 or 5 blocks high. This is going to be kind of a long, flat vehicle. And, I mean, obviously, I ended up calling it the Slenderstick. I don't know why I called it that. Maybe because it was super slender, and I couldn't come up with a good name at the time. But here you can see I'm using the fill method to fill in the large parts of the undersides. And, you know, you just do that by pressing F. Select your block. Make sure the whole horizontal plane that you want to fill has blocks around it enclosing that plane. So, you know, once you hit fill, it's like your perimeter's already laid out. You're just filling in the middle part, putting in the good stuff, the sweet tastiness. That goop in the middle that makes it all work? Yeah, baby. So here we go. I thought, okay, all these people making these designs are putting slopes on there, making their ships look so good, so I thought I'm just gonna, right from the get-go, start putting slopes everywhere I can. And I'm super pleased with how it turned out. It turned out really great, I think. Once we see a little bit forward here. And it's okay, you know, like when you're lining things up, if they don't match, like you can see some flat plane surfaces. There's not enough blocks, I think, to build all the different shapes and curves with perfectly smooth surfaces. You can get really close. So you can see here, one of the downfalls that I encountered a few times was, you know, you're putting down huge amounts of blocks, and sometimes you mess up. Sometimes you, like, delete a block. An undo button would be great. In fact, let me look here. I'm just making sure there's no undo button. Shift for... Okay. No, I don't think so. Yeah, an undo button would be great. Like, even if it could remember, like, the last 5 things you did. Because there were a few cases where, yeah, I deleted blocks on accident, and, oh, I just wish I could have undone. Would have been great. So the base, excuse me, the base frame it's starting to come together here. And by this point, I'm like, yeah, we're really getting something decent looking. And as you can tell, you know, I've been building up in the air this whole time. So one of the things I suggest you do, if you're going to build something big, from time to time, dunk it down into the water. You know, you can press caps lock to lift the item you're building up into the air. I highly recommend letting it fall into the water, just so you can see what it's going to do, really. Is it going to float? Is it going to tilt or list to one side? You know, what's going on here? I didn't do that for quite some time. But we will get a glimpse here in a little bit of when I finally give it a go. So, I really like the way the front of the ship turned out there. I know we're already past it. Here we go. Yeah, I really like the way that turned out. I thought... so here we go. I'm finally trying it, and I'm like, let's put it in the water. You can see it started sinking really quick. And so here I'm thinking, okay, I got to put an air pump in there. Pump the water out, keep some buoyancy. And initially, you can see here I'm tweaking the buoyancy setting for the air pump. I'm not actually quite sure how people get their ships to go to different lengths down into the water. So that was kind of why I was toying with that. Okay, so here, this is interesting what I'm doing here. I want to work on a half dome because I want to put a dome on the back of the ship. As you've probably already seen from some of the screenshots and whatnot that I showed at the beginning of the video. So I had a half dome I had already built using a Minecraft 3D generator. I just followed the pattern and built it, but it was in wood. So what I'm doing here is I attached it to the ship so I could build on it, and I'm converting it to metal, and I'm just kind of toying around. Like at first I thought I'll do metal, wood, metal, something like that, like you see here. But I didn't really like it. I actually ended up replacing the whole thing with metal. Which is good. I think it ends up looking better, to be honest. And I'm making extensive use of the prefabs in this. So you'll see, here we go. Yeah, I'm making a new prefab. And in this one, I'm going to copy this new prefab. So I've got one made of wood. Now I'm making one of metal. Here I am selecting it. I'm going to copy it down. You can set the length, the height, and width for your selection box. And then you just left-click once when it's that light blue color, and it'll save it. Works out really great. So there I'm disconnecting what I made. I'm like, I no longer want this. Now I can start putting it on the ship. So I do a little bit of a trick here. You see, I build it, and because the inside is hollow, you can actually keep building up. And what happens is the hollowness is built up with it, with your prefab object, while it's building on top of all the previous layers that it's put down as you sort of move it up a little bit. So now I've got a basic dome here. It looks a little goofy. And here I'm setting the buoyancy again. I'm like, why does this thing keep sinking? I don't know. It's really strange. And I struggle with the sinking of the ship multiple times through the video. Especially once the turrets get on there and the AI's on there and it starts turning it. So here you can see now I'm taking the dome that I built and I'm even connecting it. So I laid one dome on top of the other, like 3 that I had stacked up. And in this case, what I'm doing is I'm removing the walls of the newer dome I placed. Imagine them as just like little barriers that got put down. And with these walls gone, you can see I've got this really cool, like, inner dome area. It's really sweet looking, I thought. I've never tried builds like this, so I got excited a whole bunch while I was building it with how things were turning out. And so now here we go. I'm trying to take away all the flat edges. I'm using the slopes, the 2 meter and the 1 meter slopes. And I'm doing nothing more than just layering them on there. And you can see it's really starting to come together for that top part. Looks like a really cool armored, just I don't know, like an armored hut thing on the top of the ship here. I'm not quite sure what you'd call this. So the point here is, like, this is sort of the upper deck of the ship. That's my thought. I'm going to end up putting the chair and some of the navigation stuff in here. And I'll also have a little, like, stairway I make that goes down to the bottom part of the ship. I don't do that till like the very end. So it does take a bit. And here we go. You can see, oh, I put a door in my ship. How often do I do that? Like, never. I put a door. I mean, I'm even going to put some lights on here a little bit later. So here we go. I'm using the prefabs again. And in fact, I'm using the engine slice prefab. Oh, okay. Looks like I psyched out on that one and came back up here to work on the dome some more. All right. So yeah, you can see the dome's really starting to come together. It's looking pretty good, I think. You guys may think it looks ugly, but I was highly satisfied with how that turned out. So here we go. Yeah, I want to save some time. I'm not too concerned with the efficiency of an engine. So I'm using the engine prefab slices, and I'm just plunking slices down here to make a long engine. And then you can see what I'm doing now is I'm removing the exhausts of the engine, and I'm kind of expanding the engine out a bit to get more power. It had something like 4,000 base power, and I believe I get it up to something like 6,000 or 7,000. The great news about this is I don't have it fully expanded, and excuse me, there's plenty of room to grow into with this design. There's a lot of extra room down here. Even when the ship is totally complete, there's extra room down in the engine area. Just in case, you know, we want more power. And, I mean, by the end, I've put so many shields down and whatnot that, yeah, engine power is sorely lacking. So here we go. Now we're working on the propulsion systems for the ship. You know, this is one of those dilemmas you always face. It's like, where do you draw the line between working on the aesthetics of the ship, the structural design of the ship, and the functional bits of the ship as well? It's kind of hard. It's like, do you want to fully, you know, build the structure and the aesthetics first before you get down to these functional parts? You know, like the engines. So here what I'm doing now is I'm placing some extra wood on the bottom. I wanted to place some rudders on the bottom of this. And I was like, it can't be a ship without a little bit of wood on there, right? Later, you'll see that this ship weighs so much, it's so freaking heavy, that I have to actually go back in there and replace most of the metal beams on the bottom. The ones that you sort of won't see anyways because it's so sunken, I replace those with wood beams. I think it helps a little bit. There are definitely still some buoyancy issues with this ship. And so here's the weird thing, I put 4 rudders on the back at first. Not a great idea. I eventually toned that down to 2 rudders. 4 was overkill. It's crazy. The ship was, you'll see when it starts turning finally, just what sort of problems it has. It would actually almost fully tip itself sideways. It's crazy. Like, just crazy weird how it does it. So here we go. Now I'm going to test driving it. And you can see, I'm like, okay, let's try turning, and the whole ship just completely goes bonkers. Does not work, and the problem here is twofold. If you ever encounter this, one, I don't have enough thrust on the sides to turn the ship, and the thrust is not forward enough, because really you want to turn the nose of the ship. And I also removed 2 of the rudders, and you can see here with that change alone, I start turning a little bit better here. But it's once I place the huge boat propellers down here on the bottom that I see a difference. So here I'm just doing a test. I'm like, I'm just going to place this on here and just see what it does to my turn. I'm going to turn to the right. And look at that. You can see, boom. It's turning like a champion now. Slenderstick, you're turning like a champ, my friend. So I'm totally stoked. I'm like, woohoo! And I start trying to figure out like where the hell I can place this. And that's what I landed with. Just sort of move some of the metal, make a little indentation, you know, right in the front there, and place that propeller down. I do have mirror mode on, so it's already happening on the other side as well. And for some reason, I decided to place a shield down kind of early in the build. Maybe I was just thinking, let's just to see how this will look. I don't really know my thought behind that. I placed one shield and immediately went to work. So here we go. What I'm doing now is I'm hollowing out an area in the dome because I didn't know what kind of weapon I wanted to put in here. I was thinking a laser or a cannon. Obviously, I landed with the cannon. You know, it took me a little bit to get there. So the first thing I did wrong here is I didn't put the cannon on a turret, or if I did, it was like a stationary turret, right? It's never going to turn. The dome doesn't turn, and the firing piece and the cannon parts, they're only going to stick out of the front of the dome, and they were going to have a very big radius, maybe like a 20 or 30 degree firing radius. And I thought that'll be great. Like the main back turret on the top of the dome will be a fixed firing area, and the little front turret that I build eventually. Oh yeah, I named my mainframe the 69er mainframe. I don't know why. It was early when I made this video, and I was laughing about it. It was good times over here at the Scrotium. Wow, the Scrotium. I'm not going to use that word again. Alright, so I'm setting up the AI, the mainframe right now. As you can see, I've placed a 2-connector card slot on here, and I've put the target prioritization card along with the naval card on there. And in conjunction with that, when I build a turret here, you know, hopefully it should all work together, like the AI will control the turret. And I didn't see, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure I put a wireless transceiver on the AI so I can hook it up to turrets. And I learned some really good lessons building this ship, as you'll see in a little bit, especially with the turret stuff. And again, I made really good use of the prefab items, which you'll see as well, and maybe you'll be able to use that as a great way to build bigger objects. So here we go, I'm hollowing out more of the cube. I'm starting to realize, okay, wow, this is taking up a lot of room. You know, what do you do in this case? Like, I wanted to have a turret that could shoot, but it's slowly dawning on me here that I'm going to have a turret that just can't do diddly squat. And especially once I test it, it's so funny. The testing on it was pretty bad. But there was also another major bug with my build, in that I had the local weapon controller and the wireless receiver on the turret. On the turret itself, not actually as part of the ship. Which, even though things are connected and the AI would sometimes move the turret, it would never shoot. And in fact, you'll see that become a big problem when I fix the top area and make it a 360 full turning half dome up here. So here you can see I'm setting the firing radius. I was telling the firing piece to only shoot pretty much out this window. And, you know, I made sure when I'm building this, I wanted to make sure the elevation was like at least 50 plus. You know, you want the barrel to be able to move up and down, you know, a good bit. And I'm thinking the elevation is in degrees, so 50, I imagine, is 50 degrees is the elevation you can get from the center point. 50 degrees in either direction, which is a ton when you think about it. I want to say 90's the max, or is it 80? 80's probably the max, I think. Because 90 elevation would be like a full-on right angle, which I guess means your barrel has like broken off of the firing piece. I don't know how that would work when you think about it. So here we go. I'm fleshing out this turret up here, this cannon, and I'm digging the design. So now here I'm trying to fix the elevation. Elevation's pretty crappy. Yeah, it's like 26, and I'm like, wow, the elevation's so bad. I need to get this up to like 40, maybe 50 if I can, is what I was thinking. The more the merrier. So here we go. I'm clearing some more room. I just keep digging into things. I'm you know, just trying to find a way to make this work. And sometimes the best lesson you can learn is you just don't need to force it to make it work. Sometimes simpler is better. And in this case, what I thought was starting off as simple became much more complex. So here we go, making more sexy angled designs here. I'm totally digging these sloped pieces. These 2-meter sloped pieces are really cool. I really dig them. Alright, so yeah, you can see there's just like this huge gaping opening on here. I already don't like it. And don't worry, it'll totally be fixed later once I chop all this out. So I've got the gauge increasers on there, and we've got the damage up to 789 kinetic at this point. I think it was like 1 AP is what we're dealing with. And so now I'm moving my character over, and I'm testing the barrel out. I'm seeing, you know, how it'll move. I highly recommend doing this. You know, don't go 100% into a big design like this without testing out the ship parts. You really don't want to be taken by surprise when you're, you know, one day into a design. Oh, which by the way, so this total design took me about 3 hours to make, and what we're watching here is about 35 condensed minutes. Just time-lapsed minutes, really, you know. Which really, I thought, made it maybe a video people might like to watch, as opposed to a full, like, you know, 3 hours cut across 6 or 7 videos. So here, I'm testing again. I'm just trying to see how this thing's going to turn. And I'm looking at it while I turn it so I can see what blocks it's trying to interact with and get stuck on. And so you can see here I'm like clearing some more out. I'm trying to see if I can increase the turn radius. And it's not bad. You can see I'm shooting. It's working pretty well. The problem is, where I really think it's terrible, is when I do get that local weapon controller on there, and I do get the wireless receiver hooked up to it, and it's all hooked up to the AI mainframe, because all of that is on the turret, again, it just doesn't shoot right. And, you know, I swear I've had this working before, where I have had the local weapon controller and wireless right on the turret, and it seemed to work. But in this one, definitely not. So here we go, I'm spawning in an enemy. I'm letting the AI totally control the ship at this point. And here, so you can already see the problems the AI is trying to have. And I end up fiddling with all sorts of stuff. At first, I think it's the naval card. I think I'm like trying to broadside too early. I don't really understand the nominal broadside, what that means. Like if that's at 75 or 0, if it's at 0 degrees, does that mean you keep heading straight towards your target? As opposed to like 75, where your ship will turn like 75 degrees. Is that what that means? I don't know. I should look these things up, I think. I thought I had a pretty good understanding of it. So you can see here, like, my ship's not even shooting. And I'll take control of the turret, which you can see there. I take control of it multiple times. And it's just not working that great. I'm getting really frustrated with it. So, at this point, I restart the designer. I reload my ship. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm making a new prefab at this point. This is where it gets pretty cool. Excuse me as well. I'm drinking a lot of coffee. Yeah, so I made an exact copy of that top turret. And now I'm just cutting it off. Right? I'm just getting this out of there. And you'll see what I do here. I rather like how I did this. You'll see I went to the middle of the dome there, and I built some blocks going straight down. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to build the turret. And I'm going to put the 360 precision turret on there, and then I'm going to plop my dome directly over the parts of the turret, and I'm going to connect it right back up where it was on the ship. So it'll still look the same. Look at that. But guess what? It's going to turn 360 degrees now. Like, how cool is that? The freaking coolest thing ever. I was over here having a scrode party. You guys have no idea. I was so thrilled with this part. And you know, like, that's the beauty of these building games, right? Like, you'll build something, and you'll make a little bit of creative use of some of the in-game mechanics, and all of a sudden, like, it just comes together and it feels great, and you're like, yeah, baby! Oh, yeah! So, here we go. I'm starting right off the bat. I wanted to get the barrel, the firing piece, and all the barrels set up. And I do run into a lot of complications. Here's something I would recommend. If you're ever doing what I do here, where you have your stationary object, and then you've got your turret with the turret dome on top, or some turret protective casing on top that is going to be flush with that stationary object, your ship, or whatever that may be. Don't build other objects along the same plane as where those two are joining up. And you'll see what I mean here, because I'm going to do this in a little bit. Essentially, right at the level of where the turret's going to turn, I put some more ammo boxes down, and the problem you're going to run into is they're going to clip. They're going to clip onto other edges as it turns with stationary parts of the ship. I know it's common sense, but it's easy to make that mistake when you're in the middle of it and you're building, and you know, you just have a ton of blocks like everywhere, especially when you press P and all the blocks turn micro. Like this right here. You're just really crammed, and it's so easy to just get a little confused and lost, you know? At least it is for me. So here we go, I'm placing my firing piece down. I mean, my local weapons controller, trying to figure out where the heck I can put this thing. Just a tip, don't put it up where I'm putting it. Oh my gosh, don't do this. I had to, like, cut the video, and I played around for probably an extra 30 minutes just trying to be like, what's going on here? So, okay, I put the local weapon controller on the top there with the wireless receiver on top of that. Everything's connected. I mean, the game thinks this is great. But you'll see when I spawn something in, look what happens. The AI doesn't turn the turret. However, the AI will shoot from time to time, and it will gently turn the turret every now and then, very strangely. So I finally figured this out. I forget when. But I do make a few more good revisions to the turret. I change where the, what do you call it, the predictor, you know, the thing that draws the line that's going to show where you're shooting. I end up moving that to the top of the turret. And I'm doing all of these things because I'm thinking, which one of these could be the one that's causing my turret not to shoot? I have no idea. Alright, so pretty soon I'm like, alright, well, let's get some fuel down. So I put some fuel in the dome at the top and at the very bottom, just in case, you know, one gets hit and the other one doesn't. Here I'm laying down my ammo at sort of the fore part of the ship, and I am encasing this in just pure metal. I mean, you know, don't hold back. That's what I'm saying. Don't let that ammo get hit, man. So again, I'm putting some more slopes. I really like these slopes. That's a tough part of the ship because it's a highly contained area. So here you can see what's happening again. The ship's wobbling real quick, left and right. And that's again because the AI is trying to do stuff with the turret. And the ship and the turret are trying to do things to move to their target and make the target happen. And it's just not. And so you can see whenever he gets within like a certain range right in front of me, he shoots. And because I had partial success with that, you know, I keep jacking around with the controls. And so here I see another problem. And this is where I built ammo boxes along the bottom on accident. It had restricted my turning radius quite severely. So, you know, that was that. I removed those, got the turn radius back. And here, I keep messing with the broadside angles and stuff, and the ranges that I engage with. And I even eventually go so far as to put an aerial AI card on there, thinking like, alright, it doesn't like this naval card. So right here, I'm manually controlling the shooting. I had to shoot something. I was getting frustrated. I was like, I gotta taste explosion, baby. I gotta blow something up. Alright, so adding a little bit of sexification up to the front of the turret here. It's at this point I'm realizing, oh, it's part of the turret. I can like add stuff to the outside, and it's not going to affect its turn radius. So what are we doing here? Okay, so I'm starting to understand the main turret there. I think it's close to being working. I decided to move on and start working on turret 2.0, the half dome in the front. So again, this dome is too big, and I don't want part of the dome to be below the ship deck. So I do my little trick again, and I make a little extension, plunk my dome down, make a new selection box with the prefab selector, and there we go, small halfsies dome metal, that's what I called it. So I essentially took 2 Z layers off the bottom of the dome, and here you can see now it's a lot flatter. Much flatter. And I'm doing this because I don't want the turrets to conflict with each other. I don't want the main top turret on the dome to, you know, hurt this bottom dome. So again, I'm doing the trick. You know, you need the dome to attach to something. And in this case, I wanted it to attach to the turret, so that's what I did. And I'm like, yeah, baby, we got the dome down. Let's get some sexy slopes on there, you know? So again, I don't know why I don't have mirror mode on. Sometimes I don't put that on. It's weird. So here's some mistakes I'm making right off the bat with the dome. I'm placing slopes on the very, very bottom along the ship deck. Totally fine to do, you know, don't worry about that, but just be cognizant of where the dome is going to be turning, or where your object is that's on the turret is going to be turning. And what I mean is just watch out for clipping areas, because I'm going to have some turning problems with this dome as well. You know, it's going to try to turn like left and right, and it's going to clip the sides of the ship. And you know, it's just like one of those things where I could have totally avoided it if I had sort of thought about that before I started placing blocks down. I get so stoked, you know, when you place those slopes and it looks nice. It looks real good, man. Alright, so check it out. So here you can see the dome's turning. It's totally working, but it was getting stuck on the sides. So this is where I'm doing just a series of tests. I'm turning, I'm letting the AI move, and I'm turning the dome. And I'm slowly removing blocks until I find the culprits here. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes it's not easy to find the culprit for what is causing the problem when things aren't turning or things are colliding. So it's just not easy sometimes. Maybe that's just me. Okay, so now I'm starting to think about how to put the firing piece on there, where I want to put it, how I want to lay this out. So I've already learned my lesson here. I know now I put the local weapon controller not on the turret, but under it. Under is the best place. You know, you have to be within 2 blocks of your firing piece for your local weapon controller to use it. I believe it's 2 blocks, or maybe it's 4. I forget what it is. Regardless, mine is just within range here. And so now I'm building it out, and what I'm doing again is I'm hollowing out this dome. I'm essentially getting it to where it's just the plating on the outside. And this is great. Makes it really easy to build. You can see I've got a few parts sticking out, and that's fine. And I eventually replace those with metal because, yeah, I want it to look good, right? Like, we don't want firing pieces and ammo boxes and stuff sticking out. So the hard part about going about this way, you know, building your turret or your piece inside of an object after you've already built it, and as opposed to building your turret skeleton first, right? Like, put all your ammo boxes down, put all your connectors, put your predictor on there, and then build your stuff around it. The difficult thing is now you're building within a confined environment, excuse me. And you'll notice one of the big things, it might be hard to tell because of the time-lapse thing going on here, but it's very hard to make efficient use of your space. For instance, sometimes, you know, you got room to put ammo boxes down, but you only have enough room to fill 2 of the 3 slots on the ammo boxes. You know, you gotta make a lot of compromises with this stuff. You know, I think the perfectionists out there probably wouldn't go this route. You would probably optimize it fully, you know, make it as efficient as possible. But that's what I love about games like this. It's just so amazing. You don't have to be efficient. You know, don't worry about being efficient. Hell, I wouldn't even think about being efficient when I build, because that's just a lot of extra stress for me. Whereas I could just go about like this, you know, like I'm doing, making pretty good progress. You know, 3 hours I think is not a bad amount of time to get a build like this banged out. So okay, I've got my turrets going, I've got the AI hooked up, and you can see now, it's beautiful, isn't it? Look at this. Oh, I'm so thrilled with how this is working right now. Like, oh my, I can't even tell you. When this happened, I was doing a scrote dance. You have no idea what a scrote dance looks like, but it's pretty sweet. You would totally join me in that dance, I guarantee you. So here's some of the problem I have. You'll notice, like, the ship keeps going under the water. And it definitely has to do with, like, a stacked effect, I think. It's the weight of the metal, the small size of the opening inside the ship, in conjunction with the firing turrets when it turns. I think this can cause the ship to just kind of dip down into the water and totally submerge itself. And we'll tackle that in just a little bit here. So right now, I'm shielding the ship. And I didn't want 100% shielding. And right now, the shielding, by the way, it's the only defensive mechanism the ship has. I will eventually put some repair bots on here, you know, just some right up on the deck. And those repair bots are not amazing, by the way. You know, I would not count on those doing a bunch. Especially for a big ship, and especially for a ship made of metal. I almost feel like they're pointless. Now, I'm not talking about the sweet, crazy straw, tentacle, hentai, repair bot things. I'm talking about the little chodal gooch flyers. You probably not know what I'm talking about right now. You know, it's the little ones that come out and they got like little wings, and they're like, come on, we're gonna heal! And they just sort of buzz around and look stupid. Cute, adorably cute stupid, but... So here we go. I'm testing out my ship against a paddle gun, and I get wrecked because all of a sudden I'm concerned. Look at my ship. She is taking a dive. And my thought here was, alright, let's get some more air pumps in here. I don't know what to do. And this thing just kind of tears me to bits because I got right in front of its, like, 6-gun battery, and it wrecked me. I don't care what your ship looks like. You get in front of those paddle gun guns, and it's game over, man. So here we go. I'm checking things out. We've got some shielding up now. It's looking pretty good. Let's see. What am I doing here? It looks like I'm putting lights down. I'm finally putting lights down. I loved this. I love lights. I love lamp. I love carpet. So, yeah, we're putting some lights down. You know, I'm in here in the captain's quarters right now, plunking a few. Putting a few on the deck here, making it look good. And so now I'm thinking I want repair bots, and you can't have repair bots stationary with just blocks on the left and right. You gotta have, it has to be on a block, apparently. That's what I learned. So I'm just built some wood, you know, nothing big. And I'm checking some more stuff out here, looking at the engine, putting a couple more pumps down, because I reloaded the designer and it took the pumps out I put down, forgot to save. So yeah, okay, I'm putting a shield up here now. And I believe, I just stuck with one shield on the front turret. I may end up adding more. And I may, you know, later revise the ship a bit more to have better engine power and missile defenses. You know, go the whole 9 yards. So here we go, I'm putting a bunch of repair bots on the back. And I want to go back to that back part. It's, you know, 2 90-degree turns make that back part. And I'd like to curve those, make it a little sexier, you know, just kick it up a notch. I also don't have this thing painted, didn't paint it. So here's a mistake I'm doing. Don't do this. I'm like, ooh, empty ammo boxes. this is where I forgot. I had to make a compromise, right? Like, earlier I'd put ammo down there and the turret couldn't turn. I forgot about that. So I put more ammo down there, and then the turret doesn't turn, and now I spend, like, you know, a few minutes, my time, just trying to fix this thing. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So here we go. I'm putting down the captain's wheel. I wasn't quite sure where to put it. So I did the most logical thing. I put it backwards, facing the other direction with a chair, a local weapons controller so we can control all the weapons in here. I'm working on stairs now. This is where the steps are going to be. It's a little ugly and it's a little rudimentary, but I was feeling pretty good about the ship at this point. And I wanted to get something down. Stairs would be a cool object to have. I don't know how Nick could make those work, but that would be neat. And I debated putting more slopes on them, but I thought, screw it. Look at this. It works, right? Up, down, we're back. It's great. So here it is. Look at this baby. Let's see. So I'm loading in some Onyx Watch ships here, and I'm noticing my turrets aren't turning, so I'm taking a bunch of lights out. I'm like, damn it. Like, really? Every time I get in a battle, it's when I realize stuff doesn't turn. So I reloaded the designer, and I'm satisfied with my ship now. And so we're done with the time lapse, so now we're just watching. This is the final output. So I think it was a really good build, you guys. Like, I had a ton of fun. I learned some really good stuff with turrets and a little bit larger builds. So here we are. Yeah, we're testing her out against an Iron Cross. Now look, I mean, this ship, it's not expensive. It's sub 500,000 RP. I believe it's around 130 or 40,000 metal, and everything else is cheap. It's honestly like a ship. You know, I think I could get like 2 or 3 of these in a fleet, and it would be pretty sweet. In a fleet, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, so for some reason the vehicle designer spawner is on my ship. Don't know what's going on there. So yeah, this was it. I was highly satisfied with this ship. I hope you guys liked the video, by the way. This is the first time I was trying just a full-blown time-lapse, and I recorded like 50 or 60 gigabytes over the course of 3 hours of me building this bad boy. So, you know, a little something new for me. I had to record the video, and then I'm adding commentary on top, and then I'll work on the audio and merge it all together as one big video, hopefully with some music and stuff in the background. So if you hear music, we did it! So yeah, you guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. Things I did wrong that you saw I could do better, definitely let me know. And hey, we'll definitely maybe do a few more of these if you guys liked them. So you guys, until next time, take it easy and stay classy.